Libra, and welcome to your reading for the upcoming lunar eclipse in Gemini. So this happens at the end of November, the 30th to be exact, and just to let you know that I have done a general forecast which looks at the sort of overall cosmic weather. So it kind of goes into the transits that are around, that surround this particular 2-week period, and of course the the main planets that will be active at the time of the lunar eclipse. But what we're going to do in this reading is we're going to have a look at how these pertain particularly to you, some of the things that you need to look out for, and then we're going to do a geoscope to have a look and see at specifically how the planetary energy is likely to express itself, for you at this lunar eclipse and the 2 weeks that follow. So just to say that overall what we're talking about is essentially a 2-week period where we are really wrapping up, because this is a lunar eclipse, so it occurs at a full moon, and that means that we're trying to balance and to integrate and to process a lot of the things that have happened since the June lunar eclipse that we had in Sagittarius. So that's the twin essentially to this one, and that was kind of a standalone in that the nodes had just moved into Gemini and Sagittarius, that axis, and of course that is the axis that will be activated at this set of eclipses. So same sort of themes, and we're going to look at those in more depth as we go on into the reading. But essentially what you're doing is you are, as I say, it's a culmination or an ending point, and it relates to issues that may have cropped up or been brought to your attention at that that lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. So wrapping up a 6-month cycle and preparing ourselves as we move into the gateway of December, where we have that beautiful solar eclipse in Sagittarius, and that then serves as a corridor into 2021, because solar eclipses start a new 6-month cycle. So really what we're doing now is we're kind of wrapping things up. You could think of this as almost like old year's eve when it comes to the solar lunar cycles, if you like. So it's really asking you to get clear about what you want to take with you into 2021, what lessons you want to integrate and have at your disposal for future use, and what you want to let go of. But let's get into your reading now in more depth. So the first thing to say, of course, is that the full moon at this lunar eclipse will be in your 9th house. So I'm just going to put it there, your 9th house, which is all about, it's essentially the 9th house of philosophy. So it's about knowledge, truth, discoveries, and where we sort of want to sort of learn or teach. It's also to do with our beliefs, and it's the way that we kind of see ourselves within the context of the kind of bigger picture. So it can be about our morals, it can be in terms of kind of cultural overlay, how we see ourselves fitting in or belonging to a particular culture or religion, for example, our philosophy on life, and it can also be things like foreign travel or connections, publishing, as well as teaching, particularly higher education and kind of university level. It can also be about teachers, so gurus, spiritual teachers, those people who inspire us, and connections to our spirit guides and masters in different dimensions. And then the sun will be in the 3rd house, which is all about the way that we think. So it's the way that we think and we express ourselves. So here we're talking about communication, we're talking about sort of the way we analyze data and information. It can be about transportation, particularly within and around your local neighborhood, the way that you commute to work, and therefore vehicles, cars, that kind of thing. Short trips, as well as your immediate neighborhood and close relatives. And then sometimes it can be about problems or, the way that we kind of think and intellectualize. So essentially speaking, those are the 2 areas that are highlighted by this full moon lunar eclipse. Now we will get some more information when we, pick the Geomancy cards. But I think overall what you're doing is you are kind of consolidating between the way that you express yourself on the one hand, the information that you put out into the world, and then also what you've learned during the last 6 months or so, how your beliefs may have shifted, and then how you want to kind of integrate this going forward in terms of your own kind of outlook on life and the way that you choose to kind of express yourself and interact with others. Now there are a couple of really interesting transits happening at this full moon lunar eclipse. So the first thing to say is that Mercury, which is of course the ruler of Gemini, which is the sign that the full moon will be in, Mercury will be making a wonderful sextile to Saturn. So this is a fantastic aspect. It's really helps us to kind of solidify our thinking and to ground it in pragmatic kind of how to reality sort of thing. So for you, Mercury will be in Scorpio. So Scorpio is your second house of finances, and then Saturn will be in Capricorn still, which for you is fourth house of home and family. So I think a great time to have serious discussions with family members about finances, if that's what needs to happen. Maybe you want a loan from the bank of dad, or possibly a family member is asking you to, lend them some money, or maybe you're thinking about doing a course of some kind, and this potentially can impact on how much time you've got available to spend with family in terms of time. But I do think that constructive conversations can be had now that can really move things along in both the home and the finances. So that's very, very positive. And of course that energy will carry into the 2 weeks that follow this lunar eclipse. And then the other positive aspect happening at this time is a Chiron will be making a sextile and a trine to the sun and the moon from Aries. So of course Aries is your seventh house of relationships and business partnerships. So healing can take place, particularly when it comes to one-to-one relationships. So this can be spouses, long-term committed romantic partners, business partners, anyone you've got a contract with, essentially, an important or significant one-to-one relationship. Healing can really kind of take place in this area. Now, one thing I do want to say in relation to Chiron is that, Chiron is currently retrograde, and this can throw up a few issues and things around the question of relationships. Certain relationships are really, I think, for Libra, a very, very important part of their kind of growth and their path to kind of soul growth and development. And it's fair to say that when you've got Chiron involved, that we are talking about core wounds that get kind of activated either in ourselves or others, and that then can affect that, the dynamics within relationships. So Chiron currently is really asking us to think about how we patterns around codependence, so how we can perhaps be more independent and not become overly reliant on relationships, to make us feel good about ourselves, or to feel that we have a purpose in life, or just simply to kind of give us something to focus on, because it's really asking us to kind of get clear about individualism, and that's something that Libra finds, I think, kind of naturally quite difficult. If at all possible, Libra always likes to partner up, whether it's with a friend, whether it's with a business associate, or when it comes to love. We prefer to sort of do things in twos, and I think what we're really being asked to kind of look at with this Chiron in retrograde in Aries is how to heal any wounds around codependence, or feeling lonely if we're not in a significant relationship, or indeed feeling less than if we're not partnered up on some level. So just something to think about. And it's also about freedom from entanglement. Part of kind of sovereignty coming into our full power is also acknowledging where we can sometimes get snarled up in dynamics with other people, where we, for instance, rescue others, we try to fix people, or we expect others to fix us. I think this is an area now where a lot of healing can take place, and as I say, this may relate to incidences or issues that were triggered for you back in June at that lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, so something to just bear in mind. And then the other things to sort of talk about are Neptune. Neptune will be making a T-square from its position in Pisces, so this is sixth house of work for you. So Neptune is finally going direct on the 29th of November, just before this lunar eclipse. So I think this is going to draw your attention to where you can now potentially deal with issues around confusion or deception, or a lack of structure when it comes to daily routines. Maybe you've been feeling a bit unproductive, or you don't really feel like you're getting anywhere when it comes to work applications or getting through your schedule. It can also be about confusion around employment contracts that are now resolved. But with Neptune making a T-square to the nodes, which will also be in Gemini and Sagittarius, I suspect that what we're being asked to do now is to resolve karmic cycles, so karmic lessons now to do with confusion, as well as deception, because when Neptune is retrograde and afflicted, it can be about where people keep information from us, where they deliberately confuse us, so misinformation, disinformation, that kind of thing, or just feeling, sometimes you can get a boss who somehow never tells you that you're kind of doing good work, because they think that it will keep you productive. You'll keep wanting to sort of prove yourself, not realizing sometimes that can be very counterproductive. So that's something to bear in mind. And Mars will be direct. It went direct in Aries on the 14th of November, so gaining speed at this point. Again, I think you're being asked to assert yourself, within the realm of relationships, and just get clear about communicating your needs to others, not feeling as though you're being selfish if you also want to take a little bit, and not, be kind of constantly being asked to give. So that's important to say. I'm just trying to find the card for Venus, which seems to have gone AWOL. Because Venus is going to be changing signs. So your ruler Venus is going to be moving into Scorpio, actually. So here in your second house from around about the 21st of November, so in other words about a week before this eclipse. And then she's going to be moving very, very quickly through, she's going to be powering through Scorpio, sort of over the 2-week period that follows this eclipse, so much so that she will change signs on the 16th of December, so just after the solar eclipse that we have. So something to bear in mind, that she's really moving forward at the moment. And I'm sure you've noticed that during November, Venus has been having a bit of a difficult time. She's been squaring and opposing the outer planets. So a very different experience to October, where she was kind of having a bit of a honeymoon period with the outer planets in those, in the Earth signs. Now, when she moved into Libra, rather than feeling at home, she was constantly having to sort of justify herself to those outer planets. So November's been quite uncomfortable, but just know that as we move into December, the water should get a lot smoother sailing, because when she moves into Scorpio, she's going to be making positive aspects to those outer planets again. So on the 6th she will trine Neptune, on the 10th she will sextile Pluto, and then on the day of the solar eclipse itself, she's going to be making a beautiful sextile to Jupiter. So things definitely on the up for you as far as that's concerned, particularly when it comes to money, self-esteem, that kind of thing, in the 2 weeks that follow this lunar eclipse. So that's good news. But I think let's now get into your geoscope and see what specific messages want to come out for you, for this particular lunar eclipse. Okay, let's find out what's going on. So first, let's look at the sun and the moon. So this will be the overall theme, for the eclipse for you. How absolutely wonderful. So something that I talked about in my general forecast for this eclipse is how we're moving into really much more positive energy as Jupiter gains in prominence, within this sort of cosmological pantheon. And look at what we've got here. We've got two of the most fortunate geomantic figures in the chart that are sitting on your sun and your moon. So we've got Fortuna Major sitting on the sun, which is a fire element, and then we've got Fortuna Minor sitting on your moon, which is air. Now this energy is absolutely fantastic. It's really positive. It's all about a kind of an upswing in circumstances. Fortuna Major is largely about feeling more confident, and I think that that's wonderful that it's in your third house of self-expression, communication, the way that you see yourself, the way that you talk to yourself, and then the way that you convey your sense of self-worth and your identity to others. So I think an enormous upswing in confidence happening, and possibly this is due to Venus being in a better place, but fortune smiling on you, essentially, particularly with Fortuna Minor. It is possible that you've had a bit of a difficult time over the last 6 months or so, and now things are really kind of moving in a different direction, and your outlook on life, your beliefs, your sense of the future is becoming a lot more positive. And I do see with Fortuna Minor here there being kind of like an upswing, almost like the hand of the divine or the hand of destiny kind of coming in and letting you know that the universe has your back excuse me, and that that things are going to be moving in a very positive direction for you. So signs, omens, that kind of thing, just letting you know that you're moving in in a good direction. So that's really positive. Let's have a look at Venus and Mercury. Wonderful. So for Mercury in particular, we've got conjuncture, which is Mercury in its exalted position in Virgo, so earth energy, and this is all about unions, marriage, and kind of working together with others, so combining energy with others, literally kind of marriage or conjunction. So I really think that this is talking about coming together with others when it comes to both learning new skills, combining skills or kind of talents. So two's better than one, which I think Libra would naturally agree with. And it's also about coming together with others to have discussions, because of course we've got Mercury here, which is sextile to Saturn, here in your fourth house. So let's see what's going on here. Yes, perfect. So yes, wonderful. Puella here in your fourth house, symbolizing Saturn. So I do think that this is about cooperation with others, so constructive discussions when it comes to family members about how to work together in order to create more harmony, particularly when it comes to finances, to sort of balance the books, as it were, literally, if you think we've got Venus in Libra here. But it's also about positive cooperation, essentially. Kind of working with others in order to sort of two's better than one, and in this case it could be coming together with family is really going to pay off now when it comes to finances. I mean, maybe you're talking to family members about all chipping in together to buy a property, for example. That looks very, very promising and would bring a lot of harmony to the family. Puella is all about harmony. It's about good relations with others. It's also about creativity and kind of the civility of the sort of positive side of talking and relating and being social. So very, very positive, and I think discussions there will make you very, very happy. So that's the first thing to say. And then let's have a look at Neptune. Yeah, this is what I'm feeling, is that you're possibly in dispute with an employer or a colleague. We've got Puer here, which is Mars in Aries, and this can be about conflict. So it can be about the need to stand your ground and to sort of stand up for yourself when it comes to discussions around employment contracts, employment conditions, and also just kind of general fairness. Maybe you've been let go by a company and you feel that they haven't really compensated you properly, or you haven't had enough notice, or they haven't followed procedure, in which case, I think you're being asked to kind of stick up for yourself. But on the other hand, this can also be about new beginnings. So it could also be that you are starting a new job. New job opportunities could be coming your way. And perhaps also you're applying for employment. This can be about taking the initiative. But we will clarify with the Magpie Oracle, shortly. So yes, interesting. But I mean, note the difference between kind of Mars and Aries and Neptune energy. So it's definitely saying, don't be a wallflower. Don't just sort of like accept the status quo and kind of crumple into a heap and just give up. It's about standing your ground and getting what's rightfully yours, kind of thing. Fighting the good fight, as it were. All right, I think, well, let's have a look at the 7th house. Okay, yeah, so it does look as though you've had a bit of a tricky time with certain key relationships. Tristia here being, it's often about suffering, loss, tears, breakups. It can also be about illness, but generally it's disappointment when it comes to other people, and I think this is keying into that Chiron energy that I was talking about earlier, where you can sometimes feel a little bit alienated from other people. Maybe you've actually voiced your needs for the first time ever in a relationship, and people aren't used to it, and so they've kind of ignored you or made you feel guilty for doing it, and that's caused a little bit of a rift. So I do think that there's an enormous potential here, given this that Chiron is making such positive aspects to the luminaries now, to kind of heal that dynamic or that rift. So yes. All right, let's see what's in your first house. Nice. So Via here is all about forward movement, momentum, journeys, generally kind of moving forward. So if you have felt quite stuck, particularly as I said, during November when Venus was having such a difficult time with the outer planets, then just know that forward momentum is assured, from this particular lunar eclipse onwards. As I say, it will be driving us into that corridor, that December corridor, which is essentially a new moon. I mean, kind of almost like a new year, cosmically speaking. That December eclipse will set the tone for the next 6 months from December, so it'll take us into 2021, and I think you'll start to feel that momentum at this lunar eclipse that is kind of pushing you forward into that corridor. So that's really nice, actually, that feeling of progress. All right, let's have a look at your 10th house. Oh, nice. So a reiteration of the Sun energy here with Fortuna Major, a repetition. So I think that there's some real opportunities that are going to be coming up for you, and I think probably well earned, for progression when it comes to career opportunities, for kind of fame, honors, success, public office, promotion, all of that good stuff. So yes, fortune favors the brave, I feel, with Puer here in your 6th house. So go for it if it when it comes to opportunities that you see come up now, because I think that any progress that happens there will be well deserved. So yes, I mean, Fortuna Major is absolutely wonderful when it comes to career. It's great fortune, good luck, power, social mobility, winning disposition, its natural charisma, and its victory. So yes, I really kind of feel as though if you've had any problems with employers, don't worry, because you'll kind of have the last laugh in terms of success being the best revenge, and I feel like that's really on the cards for you, Libra. And in fact, if we think back to the June eclipse that we had, that solstice solar eclipse, there was a lot of emphasis for you on your 10th house, on the career sort of aspect of your chart. There was some real power transits there. I think Sirius was there, so I think lots of opportunities to shine, and possibly they haven't really shown themselves yet, but it's been building up momentum in the the sort of the upper dimensions, and will now kind of manifest at this full moon lunar eclipse, because don't forget that, you know, lunar eclipses are full moons on steroids, and they can be about culminations in as much as endings. So it could be reaching a high point, a kind of a climax as far as career is concerned. That's certainly the way it looks to me. So expect the best, Libra. Don't be afraid of tooting your horn, and you know, of kind of taking risks. So that's wonderful. All right, let's see what else is going on for you. So 12th house, lovely reiteration of Puella here in your 4th. So I think, yes, you know, I think relations with family members are really on the up now. A lot of peace and harmony in the home, and this is reflected in your psyche. So it's good. It's nice when Librans are feeling balanced, you know, kind of at home and internally. That gets reflected really nicely in the outside world. So I do feel as though it will help, you know, with any potential relationship issues. Okay, so in your 5th house of creativity, children, and kind of leisure, you've got Cloud Draconis. So this for me often indicates the area where we are releasing or ending a karmic cycle, and that is generally the energy, you know, that is I associate with full moons and with lunar eclipses. So it looks to me as though you're kind of coming to the end of a creative project, possibly something to do with children. This could be, you know, that you work in that area, or something to do with a child. Equally, it could be about holidays, hobbies, leisure, that kind of thing. But definitely an ending of some kind, so a release when it comes to those areas of your life. Then in the 8th, we have a missio. So also asking you to let go of something that's maybe something that you share with one other person. So a missio here for me is about accepting, you know, that not everything lasts, that change is the only constant, and that certain things are meant to be transient. And as I say, this could be a resource that you share with, you know, a business partner, or one other person, a significant relationship, or it could be something to do with losing out on an inheritance, having to pay the tax man, not getting, you know, like not getting a rebate. It could also be letting go of, you know, if we think about Cloud Draconis here, you know, which can also be about sex and kind of love affairs, new love affairs. It could also be that you thought a relationship was going to go somewhere, a new relationship, but it didn't, and you were a bit disappointed that it didn't go to the sort of the next level of commitment. Maybe it was very short-lived. In which case, you know, kind of, I think you're being asked to kind of cut your losses, because, as I say, Venus is going to be making some stunning transits in December, and I think that, you know, new love affairs, new relationships potentially could come in for you during December. So fear not. And then 11th house of friendships, how wonderful. We've got Lightisha. This is water energy. This is all about, you know, kind of good health, celebration, joy, enthusiasm. It's just a wonderfully upbeat, fizzy kind of energy. So I do see December, possibly the first 2 weeks of December, being quite social, and even if they aren't social in person, I think there's definitely room to commune with others, you know, either via social media, on Zoom, all that kind of thing. But definitely some good times to be had in group situations and with community and your soul tribe. So that's looking really, really positive, Libra. Let's have a look at final outcome. Interesting. So to me, what it looks like is that you're being asked essentially to focus on the future, on forward movement, which I think jives quite nicely with the Sabian symbol for this particular lunar eclipse, which I discuss in that cosmic weather forecast. So have a look at that. So setting your sights on the future and on the start of a new cycle is what you're being asked to do. So set your hopes on the future, because the future looks very, very bright. And let go of what needs to be let go of, because better things are coming, definitely. And the overall message for your reading is about working together with others. So it's about, as I said, union on particularly on a financial level, but also cooperation, essentially partnering up when it comes to work and business. And that seems to be a big message for you. So I do feel as though there are definitely some career opportunities, some work opportunities coming in for you, and fortune favoring the brave here. But let's clarify with a few trinkets. So I'm not going to do all the planets, I'll just do the sun and the moon, and then I'll clarify here with the outcome. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So with the sun, we have the star, which for me is all about being seen, being recognized. And look, we've got, as I say, Fortuna Major being reiterated in your 10th house, which is all about being high profile or being seen, being recognized for the star that you are. So definitely feel as though success is yours for the taking. So don't be shy, have some hope, just know that good times and better situations are coming your way, and set your sights on the future, because it looks very bright. Beautiful. So for the moon here and Fortuna Minor, we've got the clover, so literally a 4-leaf clover in a horseshoe. So this is really, to me, reiterating the idea of Fortuna Minor as being about a change of luck. So as I say, if you have had a difficult time in the last 6 months when it comes to work and employment or health, don't worry, because things are definitely on the up. Look out for signs, definitely a feel at that full moon and in the 2.5 days or so that follow, that you may get some kind of sign that will tell you that things are going to be okay, that definitely things are on the up. Your luck is changing. And then for Capricornus, we have the tree. So for me, this is all about a new cycle. When it comes to roots, I think it's really pointing to home and family, and where you live. So I do feel as though this new cycle is about you putting down roots somewhere, having that sense of groundedness, of belonging, of connection, and it could be to a place, it could be to a property, it could be to to family members. But I think that's it can also be about an improvement in health, as well as any process that takes time. So I think it's also saying that, although a new cycle will start for you in December, just bear in mind that it's a 6-month cycle. So things may not happen overnight, but they will happen. So really, really positive. That's, slow but steady growth. Wonderful. And then for Via, we have the Chariot. This is the rider in the Lenormand deck. So really emphasizing the idea of forward momentum. So as I say, if you have felt stuck lately, fear not. Especially, I would imagine, particularly during that Venus retrograde over the summer, in kind of May through to July. You probably felt very stuck when all those planets were retrograde, particularly your ruling planet. But things are definitely moving forward now. All the planets will be forward by the time we come to this lunar eclipse. That's the other thing to say. The last will be Neptune, which goes direct on the 29th. Mars will have gone direct on the 14th. Mercury's already direct. So is Venus. So they're all direct now. I think that's really, really wonderful. Things are on the up. Things are moving forward, and I think it's really asking you to set your sights on the future and think about what you want to achieve in 2021, because if you're clear and you could set intentions at that solar eclipse in December, you'll kind of be setting yourself up for the first half of 2021. So very much moving forward for you. Interesting. Okay. So I think the fox here is asking you, you know, if you do form up partnerships with other people, particularly in the sphere of work or when it comes to money, to just be mindful and to make sure that you, as I say, that you stand up for yourself and make sure that you get a good deal. Libras can sometimes compromise and be, but you know, people pleasers just for the sake of the peace. And I think it's asking you to be a little bit clever, you know, if necessary, seek advice when it comes to any kind of agreements. Yes, just sort of defend your corner. I'm going to pull one more. Yes. So yes, it's asking you to just be a little bit clever when it comes to contracts. The ring being for me about contracts or agreements. So I think also it can be pointing here to your relationships. You know, if you have you know, been having a difficult time when it comes to romantic partnerships, or indeed you know, trying to sort of team up with others when it comes to work, I think it's asking you to be mindful of who you choose to blend your energies with, or you know, share finances with, or give your time and energy to. Be smart about it, be strategic, be you know, and to use your discernment too, because don't forget, third and ninth house is about it's about learning, it's about the mental body, and it's also about getting discerning when it comes to information, which is something I talk a lot about in the general forecast for this lunar eclipse. So do check that out if you haven't seen it already. But I think overall, Libra, what a fantastic reading. It looks so positive with Fortuna Major and Minor here. So yes, enjoy, and I'll catch you again in a fortnight for your the final eclipse forecast for 2020.